the people unite.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to We the People Unite. Thank you for joining us. If you're out there on the chat, please let us know you're here. Please let us know where you are joining us from. So we have our group here. Say hi, everybody.
Hi, y'all. What's up, y'all?
Hi, everyone.
So today's topic is really the hypocrisy of it all, right? Because the hypocrisy, for me, is absolutely maddening. And I'm sure it is for everybody. So let's kick this off with a little taste of what this hypocrisy looks like, and then we'll talk about it.
And before going further, I want to say a few words about the situation in Los Angeles, California. Have you heard of the place? Where I've deployed thousands of National Guard troops and hundreds of Marines to protect federal law enforcement from the attacks of a vicious and violent mob. And some of the radical left, they say, oh, that's not nice. Well, if we didn't do it, there wouldn't be a Los Angeles. It'd be burning today, just like their houses were burning a number of months ago.
Oh,
Generations of Army heroes did not shed their blood on distant shores only to watch our country be destroyed by invasion and third world lawlessness here at home, like is happening in California. As Commander-in-Chief, I will not let that happen. It's never going to happen. Flags of other countries, but they don't carry the American flag. They only burn it. Did you see a lot of the flags being burned? They weren't being burned by people from our country or from people that love our country. People that burn the American flag should go to jail for 1 year. That's what they should be doing. 1 year. And we'll see if we can get that done. We're going to try and get that done. We're working with some of your senators.
Just a reminder of what they did with that flag on January 6th.
That's what I'm saying.
To me, seeing it side by side was, brings tears again to my eyes just to look at it, but to hear the hypocrisy, to hear him talk about it like that. When, I don't know. What do you think? Who wants to go first? Keisha.
That I hadn't listened to the whole thing until today because, as we all agreed, he is horrible to listen to. How dare he compare what's happening in Los Angeles, the immigration raids that were turned violent because it was escalated by ICE, to the fires in Los Angeles that were caused by nature? Like, what? I don't even understand the absurdity of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then he loves to talk about throwing people in jail.
Mm-hmm.
To say that we should people who burn the flag should be put in jail for a year. He does not understand how this country works. He wants to put protesters in jail. He wants to put people in jail who say mean things about him and hurt his feelings. We have the First Amendment for a reason.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, and I can't understand why people support this. What happens to one person? This is how laws work. If one person's going to get put in jail for something, the same thing can happen on the other side. So cheering for people that you don't like to get put in jail is not smart because the same thing can happen to you.
Yeah.
100%.
100%. 100. 1,000, as we like to say out here. No, for real. That's it. None of this makes any sense at all. Like, and that's what makes it so exhausting to have to process and waste time even talking about. Like, I can't wait for this to be over. But yes, I agree with you 100.
Who else?
Keisha's right. I mean, she's right on the whole. Everything she said is spot on. And the bottom line is the way you portrayed it, Kim, with the split screen. That's how all news should be portrayed going forward on every station. That we should be showing the lies and the alternative, the today and yesterday, or, today and, the truth and the lies, and the lies and what really happened. And that's how it should be portrayed. Every single news station should have a split screen all the time and hold people accountable for those lies. I mean, they should be fined for every lie they say, or every flip flop, or every hypocritical thing. And it's, we know Trump has the record for that, hands down. But it's all our leaders. I mean, all our leaders are jumping all over the place. And even Gavin Newsom, and I'm going to be unpopular for you California people, but if you go back to COVID, when him at the restaurant and him doing his thing when everybody else was locked in and told not to do anything, they all, to some degree, feel above the law. Now, Trump feels above God at this point, but I think, we have to reinforce our laws at the most basic levels, the basic levels. And he has skated every prosecution and everything he's done. So he's not going to lead by example on that. Well, it's January 6th people who got pardoned. Come on. That's all I have to say.
Anybody else? Maureen, you're muted.
Okay. Yeah, I think everyone has said it very well. I have to admit, it gets tiring. How long are we going to have to keep on saying this, right? Well, we will keep on saying it. But I don't understand. I will never understand how many people are drawn to this man. And not in a million years will I ever understand. I know that's the reality right now, but I sure hope something turns in the near future. He has to be stopped.
I agree. It's escalated. Andrea, August?
Not right now.
Okay. Well, Andrea's researching. August?
Yeah, I've sent you two links already.
Okay, thanks. August, did you have something? Okay. The elephant in the room on this, right? On January 6th. What are we missing?
The National Guard.
Yeah. They didn't call the National Guard.
They didn't call them.
Didn't call the National Guard. But they certainly did for our little dispute here in LA.
What I find,
Go
sorry,
ahead.
I was just going to say what I find also upsetting is how easily he destroys our faith in our institutions. And by politicizing the military, now people are going to wonder, can they trust people in the military? Military is supposed to be impartial. You don't talk about what your political beliefs are. But if he's going to turn the military against U.S. citizens, it's another institution that we're going to lose faith in, just like the Supreme Court, just like Congress. One man destroying all of, and it's going to take it. I do think we will win. I think it's going to be hard, but it's going to take so much time to recover from the damage that he has done. It's so upsetting.
I agree.
With that woman, that Australian woman that was filming the reporter, and when she was filming him, and then he shot her with the gun, I thought that was horrible. That was horrible. She wasn't on the news today.
No, and it happened to another reporter, actually. I meant to pull that one, and again, I ran out of time, but it was when the LAPD was down on the freeway with the overpass, and he was up above filming, and it hit him right in the forehead. See if I can find that image. It was just, it's like, what? Why? And then, so let me play one more. Just so
I agree, Monique, in the chat. Yeah. It's
Thanks,
disheartening.
Monique. Hi, Monique.
From the military leaders, for sure.
Yeah, so a couple things with this speech, right? And I just pulled two because again, for my own mental health, I can't sit and listen for any length of time. But this was, I think, an indication throughout his speech of what he was doing.
Friends here today, this is a record crowd. You know, you never had a crowd this big. That's an honor. You think this crowd would have showed up for Biden? I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, they had booed a few times. So first of all, using the army as a prop, right? Using the military as a prop. And then throughout egging them on, right? To boo or to whatever.
Yeah, they had no choice. They had to be there.
I also saw
they have the choice.
No, they chose them. They chose all those people that were there. They did, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have venture to say most of the military was not for this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say, I mean, we don't know, but my guess is who's a Trump supporter, you know.
Dude, I mean, Biden needs to just go ahead and just be like, hey, anytime any of these people say my name, just pay me $1 million. He'll pass Elon in like a second. Crazy, dude.
Oh my God, stop talking about Biden. That's so
for real, Lindy.
So true.
Well, then yes, we should tell Trump to stop talking about Biden. When he stops talking, we will.
Hey, I'm trying to let Uncle Joe just mind his business and be free and take care of his health and live the rest of his great grandpa's years.
He did a better job while he was asleep, supposedly, than what Trump is doing woke.
Not while he was asleep.
So let's, Andrea, to your point, right? We saw what happened with the Australian reporter, and there was another reporter that happened to right in the face. Let's take a look at this clip that was going around. I don't know if it was going around yesterday, but it was today.
Well, they're telling her to move, but that's a public sidewalk. They're telling her to move. Watch, if they shoot her. Holy fuck. Where'd it get you? Billy, fuck off. She's not doing anything. Come on. We're moving, assholes. Oh, you got it. Hang on. I just need to get out of their sight. Here. I got some supplies in my bag. Sit down. Shot her. Yeah. Point blank. I literally just got it on video. They're gonna shoot. We're moving! We're moving! Stop! She's injured! Come on. We gotta get across the street. Come on. We gotta go across the street. Where are you going? I live here. Okay. I live here. Come on.
You hear she live there.
I just literally shot her point blank. No, she's not okay. Yeah, try right here, and let me just look at it.
She's recording.
Unless you want to go inside. Holy fuck, you guys.
Jeez.
Whoa.
Guys, we're hearing some real like wartime shit right now. I was saying this on my YouTube, not my YouTube, my Instagram. Like, I'm tired of people saying this is what fascism and authoritarianism looks like. I'm like, no, this is what it is. This
They are
is where we
disgusting.
are. You know what I mean? This is not what it looks like. It's not like we're looking at it from outside in a window or something. We are here now, and we gotta start like really stop being so paralyzed and in shock, because
That's right.
this is like otherwise we're gonna get caught slipping, and they're gonna keep doing it. It feels like at this point, and I will tell y'all what happened when ICE pulled up in Oakland. Maybe y'all need to take a page out of our book, because it didn't go the same way that it went out there. So yes, but please, anybody else, please join in.
I just want to respond to Lindy. Absolutely, there are quite a few bad actors in our law enforcement. They're not all like that, but we do have quite a few that can't wait to take these kind of actions, unfortunately. Unfortunately. Who else?
Well, they were saying that some of these people in uniform are really in costume. Some of them are fake, and they're just acting out.
Where'd you hear that?
I heard that when Don Lemon was talking, he was saying that some of these people are in costume.
Oh, the costumes for, well, this was my understanding from it. The costumes were being sent to the parade from Hollywood.
For some of, and he was on another show and said the same thing, that some of these people are in costumes and pretending to be, just like we had to pretend police. You know, they can go by a costume. They can go by a costume and be pretend military.
Well, that's what we talked about. I mean, how do we know that some psychos aren't out there, you know, buying these ICE jackets and putting a ski mask on and grabbing Hispanic girls or off the street and raping them or taking them to their lair or whatever they're doing? I mean, it's just not right. I mean, to have masked men coming up to people and taking them with no identification or not knowing who these people are, of course it's going to reduce to chaos. And you asked before, Keisha, who are these people who believe in him? It's laziness. Nobody wants to find the truth. Nobody wants to research anything. We live in a 20-second swipe world, and that's all people can handle. Look the other way. I don't want to deal with it. It's all going to be fine. And you know, unfortunately, it could be a very rude awakening this time around. Hopefully not. But you know, I think what's her name? Liz Cheney said it best. We're sleepwalking ourselves right out of our democracy.
That's right.
And it's very disheartening to watch. You know, you can't educate people who don't want to be educated.
And they saying, if you spit, we gonna hit.
Yep.
I was reading a thread yesterday by a woman who says that she is she works in the unarmed model of crisis response for LA County, and this is kind of the new model of, instead of people calling 911 when there's an issue that doesn't have anything to do with crime, they send out like a social worker. And she said that for her job, she has to have a master's degree and they have to learn about de-escalation techniques. Mm-hmm. But for LAPD, to be an officer, all you need is a GED. They have limited de-escalation training. And we know that a lot of officers, and I'm not trying to paint everyone with a broad brush, have issues with domestic violence. Mm-hmm. And what's the other thing?
PTSD.
There's a lot of aggression. And I to Lindy's point, like, I do think that some people in this environment, they just, like, their lizard brain takes over and they just start acting like animals. Like they want to, like, hurt people. Like the power that they feel when they can just abuse someone and get away with it because they have the uniform and they're basically backed by the government, it is horrifying.
Yeah, no, these jobs attract those type of people for sure.
Yeah, the power trip. I do understand that the LAPD has started an investigation against the officer that shot directly at the reporter. That's what I heard. Who knows? I haven't dug any deeper than that. We'll see.
But no one is separating. The problem I have with all of this is no one is separating out the protesters from the rioters. And there's a big difference there. A protester is there for a cause. They're there to be peaceful. And then you have the opportunists who are going to use this so they can grab themselves a new flat screen TV or 10 pairs of sneakers or whatever they're going to break into. And, with Black Lives Matter, I was all for the cause. I thought it was a beautiful movement. I thought, they painted the streets. They did everything. Everything was going great until the rioters came. Now, I don't care if they're inciters. I don't care if they were whomever groups they were. But when these protests are starting, they need to be separated. And it needs
That's correct, because it wasn't the Black Lives Matter people that was doing the violence.
Right.
It was people posing as them, and they tried to put the blame on us.
Exactly. And if you look at how Martin Luther King handled it, marching across the Selma Bridge and everything else, that was peaceful. He got attacked. He got murdered. He got killed. Mm-hmm. And, the point is, and this is going to be very unpopular, but if we're going to have these big protests and things and what have you, I don't have a problem with the National Guard protecting the protesters and protecting property. I do have a problem with them protecting this mission of terrorizing communities and traumatizing communities. That's just wrong. But if they were out there saying, we're just going to put the guard around this building because we don't need to be spending millions of dollars on broken glass and windows, and because everybody behind that broken glass is a family struggling who has a restaurant, who has a shop, who has a business that, they're losing income from that. And there's a lot of shops from Black Lives Matter that never reopened, that couldn't come up with the money. And that's the same with COVID and other things. But that wasn't those weren't the Black protesters. Those were the rioters. The same holds true for January 6th. If you really believed in Trump and you were on the ellipse and you were listening to his bogus speeches and all that stuff, great. But you crossed the line as soon as you crossed the steps of the Capitol. So as soon as you crossed that barrier that our buildings were trying to be protected by the military police, there just wasn't enough of them. And we could have used the force. So we kind of have to say, okay, they might have been called out for the wrong reason this time. And I really do think that's true, because I really do think it's been a diversion, because no one's talking about the big, beautiful bill, which we all need to make sure that doesn't slip through. And people really need to, and I beg everybody who's watching, they really need to read what's in that, because it doesn't matter if you're Democrat or you're Republican or you're independent or Black or white or gay or straight or Hispanic or whatever. It's going to affect you in a negative way, no matter what. So read it and then make your decision. Just be informed about it and read it.
Learn how to read first.
Yeah, I'm going to jump off my soapbox now, but I think we do need to we need to apply the same rules, like you said. There can't be hypocrisy. It has to be consistency, and it has to follow the law. And the law is, you don't break other people's property. You don't flip and burn other people's cars. You don't do that stuff just because you're angry over your cause, whatever that may, whether it's an animal rights cause or whatever that cause may be. You have no right to force yourself or break other people, destroy other people's property. So
we got that, Jim. But hold on. So do they have a right to just shoot people in the back?
Absolutely not.
Well, they got the right to do that, though. So this is what, and I'm
no. I said absolutely not.
In agreement with you. Please let me make my case in point, because I'm actually in 100% agreement with you, what you're saying. But this is where I'm concerned, is that, okay, so people are going to start matching the energy of what they're giving. There's only so much of this abuse and people getting just heamed up and kidnapped and all this hoopla that's going on before people are like, all right, well, if it's okay for you to just bust a cap up my ass, then maybe I'll bust a cap up yours. Like, these protests are going to escalate and they're not, like the energy that they given is gonna start being returned. And that's where I'm very concerned about all of this, because like, as much as we want to still hold back and say that we're in some, like, these ain't old time ways like back in the day. This is a whole different beast that we are dealing with right now. And so don't be surprised if by next week, after whatever happens after this fucker's birthday, that people are like, okay, well, now I gotta walk around and just make sure that I'm guarded with using their Second Amendment rights, is basically what I'm saying. This is what the Second Amendment is for, what it was originally for. And I don't want that to happen. I don't want any of this to happen, but we got to look at reality here. This is going to boil over into the point where people are going to start protecting themselves in ways that don't look right in the eyes. But like, what are you going to do? Just let somebody just get where are they taking people? We need to start not letting people just get kidnapped off the streets. If you see someone just getting heamed up, you gotta like help them. Don't let them just get kidnapped. So like, but how do you do that? What, just, oh, don't do that, that's wrong, that's not gonna work, they're gone. And so like, what I wanted to say lastly, so the ICE tried to pull up in Oakland yesterday, and they were here all of 5 fucking minutes. Why? Because it was like, oh, hey, what you doing over here, bro? They pulled up into the wrong neighborhood, and they did not last 5 minutes here. They got in their car and they dipped the fuck out because they realized they was in the wrong part of America. Okay, so these people are actually ain't as big and bad as you think they are until they fuck with the wrong one. I'm telling you right now, but I'm telling you, it's going to get to that point unless we do something about it. It like the people in power do something about it. Like, hello, enforce these lawsuits, enforce these court cases. Like, it has to be enforced. There has to be consequences. Otherwise, they're just gonna keep doing what they're doing.
Absolutely. Go ahead,
100%.
Keisha.
And then you just have to, like I'm saying, the main money. I'm sorry, Keisha, I didn't mean to cut you off. But what you need to, I guess the point is, what we're both saying the same thing, but we have to have a standard going forward. We have to have a standard on these protests that you break the law, you get arrested. Military can be there and protect buildings and whatever, but they don't need to have guns. They don't need to have shooting people. They don't need to have anything more than a billy club. I mean, if they're protecting property, they don't need a gun. So, that's my point. And if they're protecting, people from harming other people, because I think you wouldn't see the rioters and the looters come out as much if they didn't have such an opportunity, because there's such a mass of people, they can get lost in the crowd. And that's when the smash and grabs start. That's just my opinion. I don't know. They happen everywhere. They happen in all different areas. A friend of mine works at a very high-end jewelry store in Connecticut, and they just had a smash and grab. And it is what it is. It's just crime. So when those people are caught, they need to be arrested. Keisha, I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
It's fine. 2 things. So one, with fighting back, I think it was yesterday in New York where ICE tried to back a truck out into the street, and protesters surrounded them, and basically ICE had to back their truck back into the building because people were like, no, you're not coming out. You are not coming out and creating havoc in our city. So there's little pockets of people who are pushing back, literally, which I love to see. And there is that quote that a riot is the language of the unheard. And we are at the point now where so many people are frustrated because it doesn't seem like our elected officials are doing anything. And it seems like Trump is basically allowed to just run wild. So when people feel like they have no options left, some people are going to act out in anger and rage. And I'm not saying it's right, but given no other option, some people don't know how else to behave. And I do think it's weird that we have the government protecting property. Like the image of the National Guard protecting a federal building and not protecting people just doesn't sit right with me. I get it, but it just doesn't, there's something off about that. When we're talking about people's individual businesses, I get it. We don't want to destroy people's businesses who worked hard for them. Fine. But sending out officers to protect property when people are basically saying, like, the government is hurting us, they're destroying people's lives, they're violating people's rights, there's something wrong here.
Yeah, like, so
Huge.
like, literally that last video that you just showed, they didn't come to help give her a first aid kit or whatever, help her get to her house or get out of the curfew way or nothing. They're not there to help you. So for, like, I'm sorry, like, if they're not meeting you with peace and they busting caps up your ass and you want me to be like, oh, I'm going to be peaceful? Fuck no. Fuck that.
See, and that's
So
that's
it
what
brings
I don't understand is they say the GOP say they're Christians. They say they're Christians, but nothing they do is loving. And I don't ever see them protecting their neighbors or even offering any kind of assistance.
No, just running over them with their horses, right?
And if you guys heard
So,
what
Keisha, yeah, one thing before I forget. Keisha, you made a point and it triggered something in me. I grew up in the time of Billy Jack, right? I don't know if anybody's ever heard of the movies of Billy Jack, but he was someone who you could say he was kind of on the left, and he believed in peace and harmony, and this was the 70s, right? Late 60s, 70s. Anyway, one of the things he says early in the movie is, when policemen break the law, there isn't any law, just the fight for survival. And so unfortunately, that's kind of where we're headed, right? So I wanted to kind of play a couple more clips that are tied to our hypocrisy element, right? So this is Lawrence from MSNBC. And I love him because he just says it straight out.
President, when he needed to call in federal troops, where he was empowered without checking with anyone to call in federal troops in the place where no governor is involved, Washington, D.C., and Donald Trump didn't do it. Rioters beat.
We need to hold the doors of the Capitol. I need public support.
Donald Trump pardoned every one of those Trump supporters who were trying to kill those police officers. Every one of those Trump supporters who wanted to go and kill Mike Pence. For 187 minutes that day, Donald Trump did absolutely nothing. And he never, ever, for a second, considered trying to stop his supporters from trying to beat and kill police officers. It was the Vice President of the United States who technically, without authority, took over and ordered the American military into action on January 6th at the Capitol. General Mark Milley testified to the January 6th committee. Vice President Pence was very animated, and he issued very explicit, very direct, unambiguous orders. There was no question about that, and I can get you the exact quotes, I guess, from some of our records somewhere, but he was very animated, very direct, very firm to Secretary Miller: get the military down here, get the Guard down here, put down this situation, etc. Capitol Police Officer Harry Dunn wishes the troops got there sooner.
Oops. I wanted to stop there so we can comment, and then we can go back to Harry Dunn. It's hard to watch, but I think it's so important that we keep this out there in front of people, especially with what's happening, because LA is nothing like that. Nothing like that. And what they were doing in LA, May, and you know this, they were trying to stop the unlawful abductions of people by mask, who know what, right?
Yeah.
They were trying to stop it. So let's open it up. It's a somber, not much to say, right?
You know, I hate seeing that. Like, I don't know if you guys ever got the chance to see that. I couldn't find it when I looked it up, but it was called We Fight Like Hell or something. It was like this documentary, like with extra footage of like January 6th. It was like this military kind of photographer or something like that, who got a whole bunch of background scenes. It was like a 30-minute, 45-minute long thing on YouTube, and it was free. But I haven't been able to find it since then. But I mean, that I was crying. I just felt, I literally was in tears just because of what those police officers went through with all those crazy ass people. Like, and I mean, so I'm out of words when I see that again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Remember this day well. Worst day ever. Yeah,
I'm just reassociating, but going back to Keisha, I agree, Keisha, that the guard belongs to us. So when I'm saying protecting buildings, that was a property. I'm talking about like storefronts and what we saw Main Street and all, you know, in those protests where downtown Main Street in a lot of cities was just wiped out, including here in Richmond. We had a lot of devastation in downtown. But my point is the guard belongs to us. So they should be protecting the protesters, and they should be arresting or putting away the rioters and the looters and the people who are causing death and destruction. And that's it, and leave the protesters alone. But Monique triggered an interesting thought I had, that she came in the comments here saying she agrees with the curfew and all that. And I didn't even think about that, because she said the rioters really only come out after dark to smash and grab and stuff. So maybe protests should be held during the day. And, you know, you should get so much time off from work a year to protest if need be, and do something like that. I mean, because we are Americans, and the National Guard belongs to us. It's not Donald Trump little men that he has out there. They're not his little green soldiers that he dumps out of his plastic bag on the Oval Office floor and sets them up. I mean, these are human beings that we pay with our tax dollars.
Agreed.
And I did feel safer after 9/11 that they were around New York City. I did, period. Go ahead.
Well, let's finish this little clip and then we can move on.
I had never seen anyone physically assault Capitol Police or MPD, let alone witness mass assaults being perpetrated on law enforcement officers. I witnessed the rioters using all kinds of weapons against officers, including flagpoles, metal bike racks that they had torn apart, and various kinds of projectiles. Officers were being bloodied in the fighting. Many were screaming, and many were blinded and coughing from chemical irritants being sprayed in their faces. I sat down on a bench in the rotunda with a friend of mine who was also a Black Capitol Police officer, and told him about the racial slurs I endured. I became very emotional and began yelling, how the blank could something like this happen?
Let's hear one more as he's talking to Lawrence, and then we'll finish up this part.
Glad for the statements that were made by the FBI director, the attorney general, just saying no assaulting police officers, you're going to go to jail. I just wish that applied to the officers on January 6th. In DC, it's a little bit more ambiguous how the National Guard gets deployed. You know, there's not a governor of Washington, D.C., and D.C. is under federal control. However, in California, it's very clear who's in control of the National Guard. And I believe Gavin Newsom to be very competent and say when they do need help, and that he will reach out. If you think back to just the fires that took place, he was not shy to ask for help there. But Donald Trump saw an opportunity to go after people in marginalized communities, people that vehemently oppose his policies and the way that they are targeting minorities, and just wanting to do whatever they can to get people out of this country that don't look like them. And it's sad to say that a lot of Black and brown people are the targets of these ICE raids. And it's really unfortunate.
Yeah. Yeah. That was the most recent. That was last night, I believe. I think Lindy said she saw it. Thoughts before we...
I was just gonna point out Lindy in the chat. I will definitely take a look at the full interview because it's the first time I'm seeing this. So, yeah. So thank you, Lindy, for being here.
Yeah, there are a lot of great interviews that, we all know this information comes fast and furious, and just trying to keep on top of all of it. Mm-hmm. And any clips I use, I try to put the links to the full interview or whatever it is in the description. So you should be able to find that there. Any comments on what he said? No.
I was watching the Appropriations Committee today when they was talking to Pete Hegseth. And when they would ask him a question, his answers were always very negative towards the Democrats, but they would be real friendly to the Republicans. And they were just trying to find out how much money were we going to have to put into this airplane, and whose decision was for him to even take this airplane. And because some people say that it was Trump that asked for the airplane. They also stated in that meeting today that they're going to try to, that what's in the background is they want to try to repeal the where you can have same-sex marriages and stuff. That's coming out now too. So everything I'm saying, they're going after every part of our country. And one day we were a country that was, forward thinking, and the next thing I know, we were a third world country.
Yeah,
we can't let this keep going. We have to speak out. And so sometime when you see me with answers, I'm speaking out. I want to know what people are thinking. You can't fight something if you don't know what they're thinking.
This man Pete Hegseth, I mean,
he's very mean.
I can't say
it. He's a nasty man.
Yes,
man. If I were on my house, my mouth would have been on fire. I would have been breathing fire in that courtroom. With those, I would have just been like, you know what? Since you're not going to answer any questions, let me just tell you about yourself, you stupid motherfucker. I got time today. No, I don't yield my time. I got some shit to say. Bitch, let's start there. Since
how do you really feel?
Wasting time.
Andrea, if your statement is towards what I said in the chat, not everything requires an answer. Some people you don't need to find out what.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but my mother always told me, I like to know where you're coming from. So I'd rather deal with you coming and being truthful. If people in
that's
the
fine,
chat
but not everything
want to
requires.
say something, I want to see what they thinking. I want to.
Well, not everything requires. When you just dealing with stupidity, then you become stupid with it.
I mean, I know what you're saying, August. I do know what you're saying, but I think different about that.
I did want to say one thing about the video we just watched on Don Lemon's show either yesterday or the day before, where he had Michael Fanone on and they were talking about January 6th. And Michael said that he felt like most Americans kind of, I don't remember his exact quote, but basically like don't really think about it or didn't really have an impact on them. And I wonder if y'all think that's true, because I watched that video and I remember where I was when that was all unfolding in real time. And I was horrified. I was flabbergasted, stunned, all the things. And I remember like texting other people, reading social media, and we were all just like, what the fuck is happening? Like, we've never seen anything like this. Mm-hmm. And my heart was racing just watching this again and listening to Harry Dunn speak. I can't imagine that there are so many people that don't feel moved by that and don't still feel like that made a difference, like an imprint on them.
You know what? Something, Keisha, that I did see the other day. There were some people that really didn't even see that or don't even know the whole story about it, that are just now like still kind of catching up and learning about what actually happened that day. Like they were at work or something and they didn't see like I was unemployed at the time. So I was sitting there. I went to Taco Bell. Next thing I knew, the whole damn Capitol was stormed. And me and my mom and my ex-husband was sitting there just like drinking bullet and just watching it and was like, what the fuck is going on? This is crazy. This is like it made me so sad. Like I didn't even realize how much I love this country, like until I saw that and was like, this is.
And what you say, Maureen?
Yeah, I totally agree. I remember my husband and I were watching it. I took myself away because I was working remotely at home that day. And I couldn't believe, just like Money said, it broke your heart. You couldn't believe it. You said, what's going on? This isn't the country I know. But you're right. There's a lot of people that actually don't know about it. Watch it or they don't want to. I know. I agree that it seems, I don't understand it. I don't know if we're in a really uneducated country or we just have a cult. Can't get it. Don't understand.
Probably both of those.
Yes, both.
and add the third one in there, racism.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So May, you sent me a clip from David Pakman that I put in here. Do you want to set the stage for this?
Yes, yeah, sure. I'll go ahead and set the stage for this. So I saw something with David Pakman. This is did you catch the name of the reporter that got arrested? I forget.
I didn't, but he may mention it. I just cut it.
They will.
We'll have to play.
From CNN. Yeah. He was on the ground and he got arrested and detained while he was just doing his reporting. And this is some dangerous shit that we're playing with right here. So I would like you guys to look at this. David Pakman has a few thoughts, but I'll tell you when to pause. But just take a look at this, everybody.
All right. And if I, have to move to different time codes,
it's all good. Yeah,
I clipped it, so let's see what we got.
Yeah, it's all
it
good.
was a down and dirty clip.
Everybody thank him.
Not understanding local laws and language barriers, a war reporter was detained. That's not what this is. This is Los Angeles, California. Let's take a look. And to preview this, you'll hear Jason Carroll asking, so I'm not being arrested? And he's told, no, we're escorting you out. But if you come back, you will be arrested. This is the United States of America in June 2025.
Flyers and posters saying
CNN?
It's time to escalate.
Wait 1 second, John. Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Jason,
Yep.
what's going on? I hear you. Am I seeing Jason Carroll being? What happened, Jason?
I am being detained. Laura. I'm not being arrested. Correct, officers?
Did you hear what he told you?
No.
We're letting you go, but you can't come back.
Okay.
Because then if you come back, then you go. We're good right here.
Okay.
Okay, please? All right, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, officer.
Take care. You too. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
What happened, Jason?
If you guys can still hear me, what happened was Yes.
I'm Chris with the New York Times. We got video of you guys.
Oh, you did?
If you need it later,
thank you.
call New York Times.
I appreciate that.
I can hear you still, Jason. What's happening?
So here's what happened, Laura. The officer, I was called over, and the officer told me to put my hands behind my back. I said, am I being arrested? He said, you were being detained. I was walked out of the area. They took down my information.
Oh, I'm losing his IFB right now. I can't hear you, Jason. John Miller.
And that was it at that point in time. Now let's dissect the sort of raw, unbridled absurdity and terrifying implications of this. Jason Carroll's out there in the thick of it, covering these volatile immigration enforcement protests in LA. Protests that, if we're frank, they've teetered on the brink of chaos. through a combination of opportunist looting and violence and the injection of the military by Donald Trump. Police want to restore order, clear areas, arrest people defying dispersal orders. And Carol, a journalist, identified clearly as a member of the press. He's embedded in these situations all day. He knows the drill. Officers recognize the press. He's there with a camera team. He's there with security. But now he's detained. His hands are forced behind his back. He's escorted away from the scene and told, if you come back, you're going to be arrested. Now, he made it clear they did not arrest me. He was forcibly removed from his ability to show you what it is that is happening there. And that's where the sort of like a blood runs cold, chilling moment.
Can we pause there, Kim?
Yes.
What we have here was not.
So, I just, before we, I let everybody jump in and let their thoughts go. I just, what I think is that, I just want to remind everybody that we're not looking through a window here. We are actually actively in this. They are detaining the press. Okay. Like, this is like, and I just feel like we're kind of like 5 to 10 steps behind of the reality of the situation that we're in. And I really need us to catch the fuck up, because these people are moving quick. And so anyway, I want to open the floor.
Well, I feel like you do, where if California stops sending money to the red states and you don't have nobody picking those oranges and tomatoes and avocados and nuts and wine, things will change. Things will change. You know, the red states, especially Texas, looking for all of that stuff. You know, they hold that back. I would hold back my funding. I agree with that.
Absolutely. I'm with that. At least for temporarily until we get it together.
And when they see that none of us wants to pick cotton again, they want to see us picking cotton again and beating us. And when they see that's not going to work again, you know, I would like to see, like I said, they say they love, you know, they want to teach religion, but everything they're showing is hateful. I don't see no love in this.
Yeah. So my question is, Donald Trump is talking about he wants people who love America, people who love this country. What part of this country does he love if he hates the First Amendment so much? Because he doesn't like freedom of speech, he doesn't like freedom of the press. There's a part of the First Amendment that says that we have the right to petition the government, which means if we have problems with what the government is doing, we can speak up about it. So what part of this country does he love?
The money.
Yeah, and Elon Musk, he deleted everything he said because he's scared of losing his billions. He's the biggest welfare queen there is.
Was it true? Did he do a 3 a.m. apology call or something?
Yes. I didn't hear anything about the call. I just heard that he had, you know, deleted everything he said that was negative.
Yeah, it is true about the 3 a.m. call.
It is. The only thing I wanted to comment about is, you know, withholding our tax money to the government. He will make sure that every senior citizen in California suffers for that by withholding Social Security. So there's that retaliation that we know would happen. You know, could the state withholding all that make up for those funds? I mean, I don't know how that would work, because, you know, I would love to see it too, but, you know, Social Security, I don't know how many people in California are on Social Security, but I'm sure it's pretty high. I don't know the answer.
How long did it take Castro to take over Cuba? Anybody know?
I think it was 30 days.
Was it that quick?
It was like 30 days because once they walked in, he walked in, all of them started running and getting it. So I believe it was that. But I'll come back to the fact.
We're in a banana republic at this point. I mean, what else can we call it?
Hell?
bullshittery.
Hell. So May, you made the comment. We need to start doing stuff. What should we do?
Whew, well, things like this. I really do think that educating ourselves is very important. Reading more, writing more, being creative, being more community. I've been saying that, and I will continue to say it every show that we get. Community, community, community. Taking care of your neighbors. If you don't know them, if you see La Migra coming up, yell La Migra or get in front of them. Scare them. Actually, it works. Like I said, my friend told me that she was right outside her work and she got scared because she saw ICE and they got out their cars, starting to set up their stuff, and they got scared because a whole bunch of hood motherfuckers came up and was like, "Hey, Brad, what you doing over here? Hey, where you going? Oh, that's a nice car over there. What you got up in there?" Yeah, and then they was like, "Oop, nope, wrong neighborhood. Let's go." Oop, skirt. So
yeah, they did that in another state.
They did it in Pasadena, I think. Andrea, is that what you're
somewhere?
thinking?
And they left again.
Yeah, they got scared because they pulled up to with the wrong people.
I was going to pull this up because I just heard this before we were getting on, that Pasadena protesters picket ICE raids at city's hotel. It's like they scared them out of the hotel or something.
Yeah. They're not as big and bad and bold as they make themselves seem. But if you just let one little old Meemaw get, abducted, or a 4-year-old get abducted, then of course they're not scary to those type people. But that's why we got to take care of each other and be like, "Hold on, where you taking, little homie? Bro, let me get in the car with you, bro. Hold up."
Well, they had at the meat packing plant that they raided today. From clips that I saw, there were a lot of folks, employees, who were jumping on the hoods of the ICE SUVs and their Suburbans and trying not to let them through, but they just kept driving right through the people falling off the hoods of the cars, and they went in and took whatever 70 or 90 people, something, I don't know the exact number, but right into the plant, right into the factory. Again, do you think the heads of cartels are working trimming meat and packaging meat? Do you think the rapists and the killers and all these folks that they let in are working on the sewing machines? And I mean, it's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous.
No, it really is. I mean, they're waiting outside of court offices and just hemming people up, after they get out of trying to do the right thing. So this is very blatantly obvious. And so for us to even go on a run around trying to figure it out is stupid, because we see exactly what this is about.
Well, he's saying that that Trump is not meeting his numbers for people to be deported, and that's why the raid started. And they went to people's workplaces here in Houston yesterday also.
I think he's been doing a pretty good job. And the last thing that I wanted to say, Kim, with your question that you asked was, we got to run these people's pockets. We got to run their pockets, because that's all they care about. That's why California has every right now that they've been attacking us like this and destroying, really attacking our communities. We have every right to not pay to the federal government. I'm sorry, this is what y'all wanted, but they're not messing
with the money. If they didn't send the money, couldn't they pay California, the seniors, with that money? I mean, it's that much money.
Yeah, I don't know how they would get the data, but yes,
it would expedite the issue, though. Once you put somebody in a chokehold and they can't breathe no more and you ain't got no money, they'll wake the fuck up, because the people, these MAGA people, they need to actually feel they like it rough, is basically
because they're trying to see if
they need to feel some pain before they wake up and switch.
Money, they trying to take over the largest state first, because if they could take over California,
they couldn't even take over Oakland. What the fuck you think you gonna do with California?
But I'm saying, but I'm saying that's what Trump's goal is. If I can take over California, I can take over any state.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that whole immigration. So Steve Miller is the one who's saying they're not doing enough, right? 650, whatever average a day is not doing it. I want 3,000, because what they have to do is cover up the lie, because they lied about how many illegal or undocumented immigrants there are in this country.
I have a question. What does Steve Miller do except cause chaos and hurt people? What is his background? A billionaire? I honestly,
I don't know his official title. I'll look it up. Steve Miller. What is
He probably spends his free time praying to Satan, I'm sure.
I think so.
Are you guys talking about whack ass Voldemort?
Yeah.
Oh man.
I mean, where did that man come
Yes,
from?
Monique. Yes.
I don't.
But that's part of the
He
problem,
looked like
right?
a fake ass, bootleg ass Voldemort. That's what he looked like.
Yeah. So
Actually,
that's
I'll
someone-
take Voldemort over. At least Voldemort was like competent.
The man who should not be named, is that?
Yeah.
You say the man who should not.
At
be
least
named.
Voldemort had a little bit of swag to him. Sheesh.
How he's the
Yeah.
White House deputy chief of staff.
Oh my!
Oh,
Well,
the
that's
deputy
explains
chief
a
of
lot.
staff.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And he was Trump's speechwriter in the first administration.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
Okay.
And then he was the one that was writing the 2025.
That must be like the worst job ever. That
Isn't he heavily involved in
Yes.
2025?
Yes, he's
Project
heavily involved in
2025?
2025.
Yeah.
Probably mad. One of his sisters married a black man.
Kim, can I add one thing about the immigration numbers?
Yes.
So Trump said his goal was to deport something like 1 million people every year. And to your point, that you're coming up a lie, because that was never going to be possible if you were just focusing on deporting illegal criminals, whatever. So the plan was always to deport people, to criminalize people, and then deport them.
Right.
Steve
Without due
Miller's
process.
first job was Homeland Security.
But from the clothing factory where this all started, is that the case? In California, wasn't that the case that they raided a clothing manufacturer?
It was one of
Someone
those.
said at
it was
Home
clothing-
Depot
it was
was
a
a
Home
target
Depot,
too.
a
We're talking
clothing
about the Home
factory,
Depot and Lowe's.
and,
So-
a restaurant or something, and
But none of
like
those
an
people
Italian
were-
restaurant or something like that.
One of those people were actually arrested, though, right? They were not arrested as being criminals.
I don't know.
They're all being abducted. I mean,
They're
they're
Yeah,
not-
no, yeah.
they're not-
Arrested
there's-
is like not even what's going on anymore.
From what I understand, like there was no reason for them to be abducted just because the color of their skin. Like they weren't criminals. They weren't citizens.
Is there a reason for anybody to be abducted unless
No.
it's by fucking aliens or some shit? Like what? What is a reason for you to get abducted for?
Exactly.
Who goes looking for criminals at Home Depot and restaurants? Like, those people are working.
Yeah, they are.
They sit there in every city. They go and sit at Home Depots and Lowe's and wait for people to pick them up for jobs. And that's what I used to always do. And again, since 1 million people died from the pandemic, we are short of worker bees in the United States. So the reason that Biden was letting people in is because we didn't have enough people.
You know, so
We didn't have enough people that wanted to work the shrimp boats or to pick the avocados or the grapes or whatever.
Yeah, you know, so right down the street from my house, like there's like a day laborer like area where people go and they'll like, you know, be like, hey, I need some help with my backyard or some shit, or I need some shit picked up or whatever. And then there's like a whole bunch of workers there. They hang out at the Home Depots and stuff. So that's like a target place for them to go.
Yeah, we have.
They did that, and the Home Depot is really close to where ICE tried to pull up the other day. And then they got back in the car, was like, "Oh, I was just looking for somebody to get fix my pottery."
All right, everybody. Gosh, this has been a great conversation. So one of the things that we know we can do, right, is continue to let our voices be heard. And so Saturday, June 14th, is the day that we are all out making those voices heard. So we will be live streaming here, and some of us will be out at the protest streaming in. And we hope that everyone can join us. And I know everything that's happened over the weekend and the last few days makes this a bit scarier. And so we just have to make sure that we are peaceful, that we don't engage with anyone that looks like they want to cause trouble. And if we have to, we just sit. And I love what May talked about. When was it? Monday, May? You know what? Let's just hold hands and sing. If that's what we have to do. So we just have to be safe.
I got some songs on the playlist. We can jam
My
on.
singing will start a war in itself.
What?
I said,
As
my
long as
singing
it's
will
not.
start a war in itself.
Somebody said in the chat, which was a good idea to me, they said, why everybody should not go to Washington and go nowhere. Just ignore them altogether. Just ignore them. He loves attention. They say just don't go to Washington and see it.
I see that our people in the chat. First of all, thank you so much for being here in the chat. Hanging out with us, Lindy and Monique, for sure. We appreciate you, and hopefully we can get more people to engage with us. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. But I wanted to say lastly, on the King's Day, if anybody that is listening wants to join us, I will be holding down the live stream while Kimbo is out there on the streets feeding us footage and whatever.
As well as August.
Yeah, so
and Maureen will be here.
Yeah,
Andrea will be here, right?
But
Andrea?
is anybody going to Washington? That's what I'm saying. They said nobody should go to Washington.
Going the fuck out to no damn Washington.
They're not allowing any kind of protest.
That's right. They want to. You go out there, and they say they have hotel rooms because nobody is coming.
They're not allowing any kind of protests in Washington.
And that's why I put it in Don Lemon's chat. Don't show up.
Would it come later?
Whoa, guys. We can't hear August when you're talking.
Sorry, August.
I was the one who put it in the chat because
that was you. Okay.
Handle it if you don't show up. If he's there with his military and he doesn't see anybody out there, that will crush him.
Do it.
And I agree with that.
So
I
much
agree with what
that
August
gives
said.
him. It gives him. It will give us so much power because no one is there.
If no one shows up in Washington, nobody. We just him and the band.
I hope that all he has is his shitty diaper and Ave Maria to keep him company.
That's right.
All right, everybody. We're 8 minutes over.
That he was going to go. We don't think Don should go. Don't give him that power.
Oh, yeah.
Go to Philly.
It's Michael Fanone that wants him to go with him.
Michael Fanone shouldn't even go. Just go to Philly. Go somewhere else.
That's why I said I agree with
somewhere else. Cool. Come to Oakland.
In New York, for God's sake.
Yeah, go to New York. Go anywhere but Washington.
Yeah.
We could tell him that tomorrow.
I think we should.
We don't want something to happen to those guys.
Let's tell them tomorrow because I don't think it's a good idea. You see how they heamed up his homie from CNN.
If everybody is typing it, it's so much more powerful.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I just want to say before we cut out to anybody who's watching out there, don't take your eye off of the big, beautiful bullshit bill because we can't let that thing slip through in the middle of the night because it will affect us all in a bad way.
And to Maureen's point, that's why he apologized, because he want that $20 billion.
Yeah. Well,
So to answer your question, I owed you this, Jim. You asked the question about Castro. How long did it take?
Yes.
He started in 1953 to try to take over, but as I indicated, in January 1, that's when Baptiste was overpowered, and by February, 30 days later, Castro was in power.
Wow.
You always be spitting the bars, August.
All right, everybody. Great conversation again, as usual. We just need to stay in it. Keep our community together. And if it ever gets really, really tough, just reach out. Right.
Nice to see you, Lindy. She's letting us all know.
Thank you, Lindy. Thank you, Monique.
Thanks, Lindy.
We love ya.
Thanks for watching, y'all.
Yeah.
Hey, follow me on Instagram. I'll be talking hella shit over there.
We
Pull
the
up.
people unite.
All right. We'll see you on the next one.
We the people unite.